The city of Louisville is still basking in the glow from the annual horse racing pilgrimage held here a week ago. But it's soccer that's proven more than a passing fancy here. And a new season of the USL on ESPN kicks off with Louisville City and Miami FC. It's a battle in the top four right now on ESPN2. We welcome you to the USL on ESPN. Lynn Family Stadium lit up on this Saturday night. Bark at the Park night as Lou City welcomes Miami FC. And the Louisville native Academy product, Carlos Mogo, the linchpin in midfield today for the Lou City game plan. Well, for Miami FC, Kyle Murphy's return provides more fuel for an attack, finding its footing. As we take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, where Miami is currently tied for fourth place on points, and Louisville with games in hand pursuing the top spot here tonight. And with that, we say welcome into our booth, everybody, joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, and welcome to a new season of the USL on ESPN. Dev, perhaps this is as enticing a start to the season as we've ever had for this league. A lot of parity in both these teams sitting in that top four.
You talk to any manager around the league right now, and they say that the USL Championship has a problem, and it's the quality of both content and character on the field because the teams are so good and it's so deep. Right now in the Eastern Conference, there are 3 points separating 10th and 4th. That's how tight this has gotten, and that's how good it has been. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, and only the top 8 are going to make the postseason. Now, for Louisville City, this attack has been a little slow to start. But Ali Zemla, you knew him before anybody knew him at Marshall, has grabbed the reins.
A national champion that was brought in as a backup for Kyle Morton. But Kyle Morton, because of lack of quality in their first couple of games, spilling goals left and right. Was it all of his fault? No. But they had a backup, and Ali Zemla really good with his feet. Danny Cruz loves that. But when you stay on the defensive front, how about one of the Louisville faithful and Paco Craig at the center back spot for Miami FC? 2 goals and an assist, that's great. 5-time All-League, 2-time USL Championship. But the chance to switch through formations and stay as that focal point on the back line is why Miami FC are really starting to bear the fruits of their labor.
That seems like a good reason to go ahead of the curve, doesn't it?
So they've really struggled early on in the season, but Anthony Pulis has switched out of this 4-back system into a more rotational back 3. It offers balance across the pitch, variability on the attacking front, quick directional changes, moving through central patterns. It causes tunnel vision for the defensive shape. Now, all of a sudden, they're all keyed into one spot, but the wing backs in the system have to be agile because you have to provide width, pushing onto the front line, giving cutbacks and distribution into the box. The 2 holding midfielders are quite crucial. You have to connect the different sections of the pitch. As Velo comes back across, he recognizes that. He's got help atop the cross to the 18, but the square ball back across creates separation within the defensive ranks, still has options, but Dewana is able to exploit it into the final third. 0.5 goals for through the first 6, 2.33 goals in the last 6 matches for Miami FC.
Will they bring that firepower tonight to Louisville, Kentucky? We've got Lou City and Miami FC ready to kick off when we return to the USL Championship on ESPN. The last time you saw the USL Championship on ESPN, it was a sellout, a blackout in San Antonio. Louisville's fourth final met with disappointment as San Antonio finishes the fight with a 3-1 victory over Louisville City and earned their first star, lifting the trophy last November. All the while, Danny Cruz returns for his third season at the helm of this Louisville City side, and he's ready to go today, having been the youngest to reach a final, looking to pilot this team back. Today, Devi makes 5 changes from their last game over a week ago.
My eyes shift to the right back spot and Oscar Jimenez because he's going to have patience tonight. The way this team wants to attack, they want to use the outside backs in possession. But as you go, you have to be very cognizant of the fact that you've got Sorto, Telfer, and Aiden Stanley that are going to be overlapping and challenging you. Dylan Maris and Tellefson, this has got to be the pairing for Louisville to find success. But it all rests on the front three, tied for the third worst attacking unit in the USL Championship with 7 goals. It's time to get going.
There's Anthony Pulis. He knows this attack is starting to get going for Miami FC. His 6th year as a head coach, his 2nd at Miami FC. He's had to make 2 changes. It's good news. Murphy and Chapman Page are back.
Injury-ridden squad sees Callan Chapman Page onto the back line. They're trying to find consistency right now within this lineup. You get that out of the midfield 4. No changes. Segber's really good in transition, but I look at Telfer on that left-hand side. He pinches a little bit. Aiden Stanley starts to go forward. Christian Sorto could be the most important piece tonight. Staying high, possession underneath the 9, and challenging Carlos Mogul at that center spot within the midfield.
Eligio Araguin holds the whistle. And the USL Championship on ESPN from the Palestial Lynn Family Stadium is underway. It's Louisville City hosting Miami FC in what could very well be a matchup we want to see come October and November in the postseason. Miami in road white and blue, Louisville in purple. Louisville now 5 unbeaten in the league. Miami 4 unbeaten in the league. Segbers pursues. Jake McGuire. Paco Craig up for Segbers. Louisville can move within a point of first place Charleston here tonight. Wes Sharpie returning from injury last game for Louisville as well. A 1-1 draw away to Memphis. And Dev, some of the conversation around this Louisville team right now is they usually start well 30-35 minutes and then there's a wall. So can they get out in front of Miami? And if they don't, can they keep the energy up late in the half?
It's kind of one of those things where we know what we are when we're playing well, but when we're not, how do we then find another gear, right? And that's a thing that historically for Louisville City has not been the case. You go double-digit unbeaten to start the 2022 season. And because of injuries as well for them in form, change at goalkeeper, at the 9, within the 6, on the back line, guys in and out for international duty. You're just looking to take a positive step here. And yet, throughout all that frustration, you're still sitting 3rd within the league. I mean, these are problems that if you're a manager, you want to have if you're Danny Cruz, right?
Amadou Dia to throw, one of the few players that's really been able to go the length of the season thus far. Notably, no Josh Winder tonight. We'll touch on the good news. He's in Argentina, the U20 World Cup team in a moment. That's part of why Sharpie is slotted in today. Segbers got knocked down. Aiden Stanley over the ball. Earned his debut under Anthony Pulis at St. Louis FC in the league before going on to a couple of years at Duke. Stanley, header smashed across off of Ownby by Craig to win a corner. Well, no, offside. I had the angle of that arm all along.
It happens. I thought you were waving for taxi. You're a big Uber guy, though, so that doesn't count anymore.
True enough.
The city changed you, Mike. You could have been a contender.
Ali Zemla, 500-plus minutes without conceding a goal to start his pro career. Stanley walks it back. And there's McGuire. For Murphy, came from an offside position. Chantoche rolling over to Sharpie.
Just watch this relationship on that front line for Miami FC. Kyle Murphy, Christian Sorto, Salazar. I mentioned Sorto in the lineup because of the way on the left he'll pinch underneath. He likes to help in possession. He's got to maintain that vision on the front and challenge right there on Chantoche. But more importantly, what sort of pressure is going to be put on Carlos Mogul?
Through for Sorto. Has Murphy making the central run in a sea of purple. Sorto tried to swing the cross through. It was bouncing in Salazar's general direction. Those transition moments for Miami could be scary stuff. Louisville can say much the same, although Craig snuffs this out. Segbers, gliding by Gonzalez, swings across that Zemla comfortably controls. Chapman Page stepping over Gonzalez. Back from Akinyoti. Gonzalez was seeking Maris, not to be. Forward from Velo and shipped over the top for Murphy.
Early on, just keep an eye for Miami FC, how much pressure that they're willing to maintain up high. They know that Louisville City want to be on the ball, but the idea is you want to stricken them from that aspect of their game. If you compress the field, all of a sudden, not only is the field shorter, but the whole idea behind this tactical change is to get more runners moving forward. So you'll have an aggressive back three. Aiden Stanley will jump on the back line. The next thing you know, your Lou City defender, you look up and there's 7 players running at you instead of just the lone Kyle Murphy we saw at the beginning of last season.
Tellefson, Jimenez for Ombi. Ombi, Tellefson, deflects, put in by Dylan Maris. The former U of L player has his first goal for Louisville's professional club. Nothing Louisville City.
This is what they've been waiting for, though. It's the advancement coming out of the midfield. If it's no Del Piccolo and they lose Corbin Bone in the offseason, who's going to be the next man up? And I told you, watch this pairing. As Tellefson puts it forward, notice he sits right at the top of the box. It holds Christian Sorto, and the defender is late to step in. As the strike comes off, this is just really well read by Dylan Maris. He recognizes a ball's not going to drop further than Tellefson. He's got to find more space from himself, even off a deflection. He steps in behind, is able to bury the opening goal. 19 goals in the past 3 seasons, 10 in the 2022 campaign. But right now, none more important than the opening goal for Lou City tonight.
And Danny Cruz's side have exactly what they were looking for right off the bat. You know, Dev, you and I saw Dylan Maris sign from El Paso and thought, especially as you mentioned, Corbin Bone's retirement, what a perfect player to put in that role. I spoke to Haley Simpson a little bit about it. Where's Dylan? He said, well, he had hand surgery and he can't fall over right now. So he's returned here the last about month or so. And all of a sudden, we're starting to see him really pop.
Can't fall over, can't do the dishes. That sounds like the perfect excuse in family life, by the way.
Yeah.
Hurt my hand, honey, sorry, I'm busy. You're going to have to bear the burden. But this is a guy that, Lou City last year, they picked up Kyle Morton at the goalkeeping spot. And I went on record and maintained it for the entire season that he was the most influential signing to a team that went down in the offseason. Well, he picked up goalkeeper of the year. Dylan Maris healthy, you're looking at an all-league player who, if he wanted to, at his best level, can definitely challenge for an MVP type role.
Salazar, will he get there? He did. Salazar angling, kicked away by Mogul, and Tosh helps to put out the fire. Got by Tellefson, and on to Akinyoti. Florian Velo. And on to Aiden Stanley. Ball floated for Salazar. A lot of contact from Dia. It's a penalty. And Miami FC will have a chance to pull level from the spot just minutes after the opening goal.
This all starts with the ability to maintain possession by Bolu Akinyoti. Florian Velo and Christian Sorto create this triangle, and as they hold possession, there's the advancement I talked about from Aiden Stanley. Really well done on the outside. You maintain the width, and as the ball comes in, it's just too handsy. Is there a miserable amount of contact? Absolutely not, but you're still up over the top of the player. About 12 yards out, you come from behind and create contact. The referee's there the entire way. You make it easy on him, and more importantly, with all the players in front, all of a sudden Kyle Murphy's got a real good opportunity just 11 minutes into this match.
Zemla has not faced a penalty yet this season, his rookie year in the league. Kyle Murphy in his career, score 6, miss 0. And a former 20-goal scorer. Allows Zemla to clear the debris. And in front of the Estopinal end, Miami seek an equalizer. Elio Araguin with the whistle. Kyle Murphy, never in doubt, off the post and in. That is a gorgeous penalty, unsavable. It's 1-1.
Let's go back to the contact first before we show you the excellence of Kyle Murphy. Up over the top, grabbing the arm on the backside of the player. Embellishment, possibly, but you still put yourself in a real precarious position. And then Kyle Murphy brought him in last season, coming off a 20-plus goal year. Couldn't really get him going. You would think none easier than this, but the chef's kiss off the inside of the post to get them back to even. Told you coming in, quality of both content and character tested 12 minutes into this match.
Murphy had 7 goals in his 9 games in August and September last year. Dev, when he gets hot, he gets scorching hot.
Most important thing for Kyle Murphy is obviously just confidence, and for a guy that, because of injury, lack of form, in and out of the lineup, really struggled last season, dealing with injuries again this year. But the statistic we showed you coming in, the amount of goals they've been able to create over the past couple of matches, a number that has raised the average ability for Miami FC. What comes along with the goals is obviously opportunities, and that's what you're looking for here, because the responsibility no longer rests just on the shoulders of Kyle Murphy. You can get to a Christian Sorto. Michael Salazar, who draws the penalty, can get involved in the attack. No longer is it 2 or 3 guys. I mentioned this is a 5 to 7 man front when it wants to be.
Wilson Harris, that clanks around. Velo out to Segbers. Well done by Harris. The numbers are good when Louisville score first this year, yet to lose. That's where they've gotten 13 of their 14 points. Flowing forward, Miami FC. Salazar wants this across, big rebound off of Zemla, and cleared over the line. And suddenly Louisville is under siege.
You get the two-headed monster. We've seen it down the middle. We've seen overlaps, and all of a sudden it's a one-on-one as you come out. Good positioning by Ali Zemla. He doesn't spill it right where he'd want to. If you're going to cough this, you'd like to push it further, but because of the angle, he's almost left no choice. He gets tight up against the near post, recognizes he can't get two hands on it, but a good recovery on the backside by Amadou Dia.
Good look from Telfer, but it leads to a Miami corner. All swung over, that's cleared. Akinyoti navigating back to Segbers. Telfer taking it, Menez all the way to conclusion. And Telfer caught the edge of the field surface and appeared to skid out onto the concrete. He's back up. Telfer played with Crew 2 in Next Pro last year. Trinidad and Tobago Senior International. He's kind of played in every league, come to think of it. Scored the first goal in Canadian Premier League history, too, with the York 9. 29-year-old from Ontario. I'm not sure you had to beg him to move to South Beach.
Yeah. Lay of the land a little bit different, isn't it?
Dev, what do you think Anthony Pulis is scribbling on that notepad, if you had to venture a guess?
Well, right now it's pressure first off. I would like to see a little bit more of a removal on the outside because they've done a really good job of eliminating Carlos Mogul and his ability to stretch the field side to side for this Lou City squad. But they are giving up a little bit on the wings. It's just a slow reaction to get out there.
In behind for Gonzalez and grabbed by McGuire. Segbers. That's Gonzalez. Eventually falls to Maris. He got run over by Segbers. Louisville suggested they would have preferred advantage for at least a moment.
A little surprised it even got to this point, to be honest, with double flicks over. High boots by both. Dylan Maris, the clever little touch. Again, the way that this team rotates, that's a good look at it right now. Notice how quickly Ryan Telfer and Mark Segbers drop off. It creates that five-man front. They'll flatten out the midfield. They can go a triangular shape, and then all of a sudden, as they retain possession, go win a 50-50, they spring into the attack. Very difficult from a defensive standpoint for Lou City to recognize within all of that movement where the threats are coming from. That just comes down to communication and the trust that you've gone through in training all week that the next runner is going to be there.
Ownby helped to keep it for Louisville City. Miami now 9 first-half goals in 10 games and 5 goals in the first 15 minutes of games, both most in the league. The pull level with Louisville here on the road. Salazar, Segbers approaching at the sideline. On to Velo. Craig, Stanley, Telfer. Big step by Maris, held up by Harris. Oscar Jimenez. Big role today in the absence of Manny Perez for Louisville. Big day for Carlos Mogul, isn't it? Only his 6th start in the championship. Jimenez. Tellefson stepped away. Mogul late to approach. Ownby, electric as ever. Brian Ownby, saved by McGuire. Out to Gonzalez. Floats to the backside. Telfer. He pull his head away. It's irrelevant. It's picked in by Jimenez. Set up for Mogul. Carlos Mogul with a deflection, angles out for a corner. And Louisville's appeal for a handball, quickly irrelevant. There is an R.
Of attacks and how fast you're willing to change it. That ball right there. Mogul comes out, and then watch the depth that they create here, because you've got Harris in one area, Amadou Dia on the secondary ball coming back through. More importantly, it's the Dylan Maris run. I thought this ball was coming back square across. That's a low percentage from Carlos Mogul. You're moving to the right. It's an easier shift from Jake McGuire in the near post.
The corner, the header. Jorge Gonzalez. Hey, fans, don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of USL Championship action on ESPN+. It's your home, the USL, La Liga, Bundesliga, UFC, and more. And sign up today, plus.espn.com. Pittsburgh has already scored in their game against Birmingham. Both those teams are headed to the US Open Cup's round of 16. For Birmingham, it was Southern Harm, right? Memphis.
The two little brothers doing battle against each other. And
oh, really?
In favor of what will be the future. Now held by Charlotte FC for the Birmingham Legion, round of 16 on the 24th. I was actually quite surprised discussing this with Joe Malfa that it seemed like we saw a lot more chalk in this year's tournament, but the difference is only one team heading into the final draw for 16.
Right.
And it's basically Union Omaha.
Yeah.
So we blame them in League One, obviously.
Sure.
There was just so much movement in last year's tournament, and this year, 2 USL Championship teams still left in Open Cup. Well, Birmingham Legion would love to find some league form. Down to Pittsburgh. Previous losses to Oakland. Miami handed them their fair share. 3 in a row. All of a sudden, Tom Sohn not going to be so happy.
Ball rolled ahead here for Murphy. Front running for Salazar. Dia very composed. Gonzalez flying out of the challenge, and then Segbers upended.
A real good job defensively by Lou City to recover. Beautifully done by Amadou Dia. But as the ball comes back out here, Maris has got to play Shantosh right in front of him, because what ends up happening is instead he goes 3 yards to his right. Sharpie's stuck on his right foot, and that clearance is half at best. You can't really blame Wes Sharpie because that's the ball put in front of him. And then as it comes back out, a little bit weak in the eyes of the tactical area for Louisville City. Decided to get involved in the stat line.
Danny Cruz, not unfamiliar to yellow cards in his playing career.
The referee has shown a world of
Booked here.
to Louisville City's Danny Cruz.
Well, that'll get this crowd of 5 figures up and at him. Stanley or Sorto to put this in play. Miami trailed for all of about 3 minutes. Can they grab the lead off a set piece? It's Stanley. This is familiar, headed down toward Telfer, and the offside flag raised on Paco Craig. Zemla, program record 25 clean sheets at Marshall. Of course, one game stands among them all for that Thundering Herd. National champions. Salazar. That's a strong tackle from Dia. Maris floats into the final third for Gonzalez. Pushed away by Callum Chapman-Page. Referees had a handful of those moments where he puts his arms down and says, hey, not looking to throw bookings around yet. See what kind of arm Dia has. Dia delivers, skims down to Segbers. Velo. Anything from Miami surprise you? We talked to Danny Cruz, and they had a couple ideas of what this would look like, and they felt prepared for any eventuality.
Nothing surprises me so far. I would say that the front line of Louisville finally recognizing where this overall threat is coming from. It's from that man right there, Florian Velo and Akinyoti, but a good job by Wilson Harris on the past 2 trips down the field to try and cut some of that service out. There he is again defensively.
Ball across, asking questions from Murphy. Strong header. Louisville expected to have more of the ball, such is the case at this early juncture.
You will see them, and already 28 minutes in, they're favoring that right-hand side, and that's because some of the shape that we talked about. Sorto will play off that left shoulder. It's a good look at him right now. He also comes underneath, but regardless of where he is, it then becomes the decision of what position Ryan Telfer is going to occupy, and then where does Aiden Stanley play into that mix? As they come high in possession and start to move quickly, Stanley advances himself. That leaves Greener in behind on the right-hand flank for Lou City. That's why you're seeing an overabundance of pressure over there for the home squad.
Midfield by Chapman-Page. Akinyoti. Christian Sorto, who featured for El Salvador's World Cup qualifying campaign ahead of Qatar. Step from Sharpie and a foul.
This ref has a very tight whistle. I'm not saying that he's wrong, and I respect the calls, but at the same point in time, as a player, it's really difficult to get a feel for what you can and cannot get away with. Even just the slightest of touch on the backside right now, and smartly taken by Miami FC to go to ground. Referee's pulling the whistle on him.
Aiden Stanley preparing to hit the select ball, the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Stanley hangs it up there, and a commanding header. Telfer rising above the rest and puts it out. Pressure, able to bring it up to Harris, who wheels around into Gonzalez. And arriving from behind, Bolu Akinyoti. Off that is Sorto, up by Murphy. Dia ranges back. Louisville took the lead. Dylan Maris first for the club. A club that's gone to 8 conference finals in 8 years of existence. Meanwhile, Miami last season into the postseason. Had a tremendous start to the campaign, 12-6-6. Finished about 500 down the stretch. Anthony Pulis has them in a tie for 4th. That's a yellow card, the first issued to a field player in this game. It's Oscar Jimenez.
That's the nature of it. Oscar Jimenez, little tug on the first one. Second, again, smartly done by Ryan Telfer. There's not a massive amount that Oscar Jimenez puts into this, but hands away from the body, little tug on the backside. Ball in transition. The frustration is far past mounting here for Louisville City defensively. And that just comes down to communication. You're looking right now, Amadou Dia, Sean Tosh, veterans that have been within this team, within this game. Jorge Gonzalez, settle it down. Just relax a little bit. You don't want it to get the best of your decision making, especially when you know the way that the referee is going to call the match.
By the way, if you looked closely, Anthony Pulis had the ball swatted out of his hand by Dia to try and keep the pressure up. And Pulis, of course, knew exactly where the ball went out because it bounced right to him, so he helped the referee with placement. All the while, is Miami FC come plundering across midfield. Velo with the slide in from Tellefson, the offseason arrival. Maris, Wilson Harris, all kinds of space here. Tellefson, Oscar Jimenez. Ownby stares down Stanley. Ownby for Harris. Tellefson tried to rip it through and right to Chapman Page. Ownby got in there on Sorto. Second effort, narrowly over the line. All the while, the referee's going back here to show a yellow to Maris. Remember when that card was staying in the pocket? Those days are over.
It's quite the effort tracking back from Brian Ownby. We've seen a few last-ditch tackles here. Sean Tosh on the other side. Tellefson wants the energy level up right now. That balance where you can start to misshape Louisville City. I am surprised we're not seeing more of that right now from Miami FC. That's where they've gotten really good transitionally in attack, is the right to left movements like this.
Telfer, head on a swivel. Academy, Segbers. Miami gets a ton of crosses into the box at their best. Looking for Telfer again. This time Jimenez siphons off the service. That popcorn must be really good.
Double buttered?
I would hope so.
I discussed this the other day. I've actually got an interesting quirk when it comes to popcorn. Reese's Pieces into the popcorn bin. You're confused.
No,
you're confused.
I didn't know that was not a thing. Didn't know you couldn't do that. Murphy aimlessly.
What if I told you it was Raisinets? That would confuse you.
Yeah, no, it's a bridge too far.
Okay. I've never done it, but I've seen it.
Yeah. That's Devin Kerr's culinary analysis of the day. Although you did an Instagram poll for what pocket square you were going to wear today, is that right?
It was actually the pattern of the suit.
Oh.
It was.
I was going to say, I didn't vote for any of this.
I punched the wall won, so I went to social media. I feel like, why not? Let's get the fans' engagement, see what's going on.
Header smashed up to Gonzalez. Craig got a touch, and on to Velo. Sorto. That's really well worked if it stays in play for Telfer. Lines up Mogul. Telfer and line. Mogul appeared to get a piece. Segber settles. Salazar. Back for Velo. Look at that line of purple playing Red Rover with Miami. Back into the width. Sorto. Saddled by Maris. Sharpie this time. Now send Paco Craig trailing away. 5-time All-League out of young Harris. Plucked seemingly out of obscurity. Ahead for Segbers. Came out of nowhere. And that long ball from Paco Craig. Which, to be fair, sounds like something he would do a lot in his time in Louisville. Tosh, who sports the captain's armband on the occasion. All he's done is be 3-time first-team All-League. Tosh. Drop that in. Harris. Back to Tellefson. Maris slaloming into the challenge of Akinyoti. Well, that's two players playing their role.
The way that you're going to be able to maintain high possession here for Lou City is going to be two ways. One, you're going to have to play into your 9 and then get a secondary move off of it, or if you go to the width, you've got to create depth within the ranks. That's what we're really struggling right now. Dylan Maris is coming deeper to try and play off of Carlos Mogul, so they don't have that extra effort up top as Tellefson goes. That's really the first time in the last 10 minutes that Tellefson has gone, and then Maris is the complement just underneath him.
Dev, what excites you on a set piece from this range?
You just have to decide which way you want to attack. Do you want to go direct, or because of the angle and distance where it creates that half decision-making process, are you going to try and go with a quirky little ball up over the top? From here, I'm having to go. If I'm Carlos Mogul, I'm going as much pace as possible trying to pick out that near post.
The wall is for Mogul with an eye for goal. The wall protects Maguire.
This is a 5-5 corner kick.
Put in play. It was Gonzalez that got an unimpeded touch last time. This time skids over to Ownby. Sets up Dia. Angles for the back post off the head of Tosh. Harris camps under. Chance for a reserve. Up for Gonzalez with a touch from Maguire. A corner on the other side now.
It's another 5-5 corner kick.
Arm raised from Maris. Maguire awkwardly got something on that. Salazar commandeering with Sorto making the run. Below Brian Ownby.
Incredible.
He gallops, doesn't he?
This is incredible effort right now from Brian Ownby tracking back defensively. We saw the double tackle in the corner. This is a 55-yard run from Brian Ownby. Starts just inside of the center circle, and then watch the work rate. More impressively, notice he doesn't go to ground and there's not an overabundance of pressure coming off the shoulder. Brian Ownby a couple of years ago probably would have leaned into that and drawn the referee's whistle. Instead, he almost slows up a little bit to allow himself to meet Florian Velo at the same time, wins the bounce, wins possession, albeit gifting it right back. But that is just so good from Brian Ownby.
Ownby coming off a 10-goal campaign. One of his best as a pro, the 32-year-old from Virginia. They've described him as playoff Ownby, striker Ownby. Last year, him Ownby. From Zemla, a return from Mogul. Coming up at halftime, Dev gets himself in hot water. Highlights and stats from this game. Anthony Pulis feeling a bit of hot water from that challenge by Chapman Page gone awry.
Notice the push. I mean, that's not a way to make friends. Callan Chapman Page upset here, as is Anthony Pulis. He wins the challenge. The problem is, and to be fair, his view, it's skewed a little bit because the player's in front of him. It's the hands after. I mean, he literally shoves the player to the ground. And last I checked, FIFA hadn't approved that rule change in the book just yet. Personally submitted my own amendments to IFAB, but you know, that Pulitzer never went through. So, no. Oddly enough, they stopped returning my calls, all forms of communication. Who knew?
Well, that's not why you're getting yourself in hot water, your comments to IFAB. No, Devil walked through the teams they've achieved. Underachieved, overachieved, achieved just right. That's a yellow to Chapman Page. So he was able to skate last time, not so lucky this time.
Watch the arms again. Still a no-no. There's definitely less in that one, but frustration started for Louisville City. That pendulum has swung the other way now.
Chapman, Page, Maris, and Jimenez on yellows, along with Louisville coach Danny Cruz. Mogul and Jimenez over the ball. Jimenez at 33, the oldest in the lineup today. Mogul, the youngest, at 19. Jimenez. Well, when Miami do flock forward in unison, you've gotten a glimpse of why over the last 3-4 games they've suddenly found the scoring touch that eluded them early in the season. Talk to Anthony Pulis. He is overwhelmingly process-driven. That is not coach speak for him. Such is the case when your father has such a lineage of Premier League roots as well.
Well, the avid fan on an attacking standpoint might look and go, well, it was Las Vegas Lights, it was 4 goals. Yeah, but they also smacked Birmingham Legion for 3.
They did.
So all of a sudden, you've got 10 goals on the season, but 7 in the last 3 matches. Again, the 3 versus Birmingham, and now you've added 1 against Louisville City. You go up to any manager and say, you've played Birmingham and you've played Louisville City, and in those 2 matches, you've put up 4 goals, pretty sure they'd be happy.
That was awkward from Stanley, but got the job done. Got theirs on a penalty tonight, scored in the 11th minute by Kyle Murphy after Dylan Maris opened the scoring in the 7th. Ombi cranks in across for Gonzalez and snared by a leading Jake McGuire. A minute gone of the 3, the end of the first half. Tellefson, Wilson Harris has operated a little bit deeper like this all day. Ombi. Sorto. Salazar. Segbers. Telfer. Akinyoti. Flat from Stanley. Segbers. Miami going to push all the sand through the hourglass before they get forward here. And Craig wastes it away. So about half a minute left in this first half. Takeaways?
There's some interesting decisions to be made. If you're Louisville City, Jorge Gonzalez and Wilson Harris are veering to the left, and that creates a combo of Tellefson and Ombi on the right. So there's a void centrally. That's okay because of the way that Miami FC is pushing you to the outside, but that means late runs have to be delayed into the box right at the top of the 18. That comes down to Dylan Maris and Carlos Mogul communication. And if you're Miami FC, to me, this really just comes down to changing more. It's finding a way to balance left and right respectively. Underlapping, overlapping. It's a bit timid in attack, though defensively, they've done quite well for themselves outside of the deflection and the opening goal by Dylan Maris inside 10 minutes.
Maris in the 7th minute gets his first for Louisville City. And Kyle Murphy from the penalty spot gets his second of the year and continues his charge up the goal-scoring charts in the league, his 59th USL goal. Louisville City grabs an early lead to the delight of the crowd. Miami responds. Coming up at halftime, how has your team achieved? Devin gives his thoughts when we return. Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN. Lynn Family Stadium, the site in Louisville, Kentucky. Tonight, Blue City taking on Miami FC. We're at halftime. And joined in the booth by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. This perhaps has been as intriguing a start to the season as we've ever had. There's parity everywhere, and Dev, expectations are always the tip of the sword. So let's start with teams that have actually met expectations at the quarter pole.
We'll start in the Eastern Conference, and let's start with the Birmingham Legion, a team that's second in the Eastern Conference. They had talent last year, but they kept 13 players within that spine. Van Okel, Spangenberg, Kavita, Cronali on the back line, of course, Enzo Martinez. Now, this team is now bagging goals on the front line, 15, most of which from that attacking unit, but they've conceded 18. That's second worst in the USL. A bit surprising for a team that defensively top 10 the past 2 years. Law of averages should play itself out. They'll start to get better down the stretch. Colorado Springs, lose Brendan Burke, your head coach of the Houston Dynamo in MLS, but Stephen Hogan, seamless transition. The whole thing about them has always been, you're going to score 99, we're going to score 100. Well, they're -1 goal differential, sitting third in the Western Conference. Zach Zandy, Jairo Enriquez, but you pick up Speedy Williams, Malik Foster. This is a team that is still finding a way through their different systems to find form. 3-back, 4-back, 5-back. Again, time will tell with them.
All right, Dev, make some new friends, the underachievers.
It's 2 wins on the season for Indy 11. They're winless at home. Third least amount of goals scored in USL Championship. The attack has looked lifeless at times. When you have players like Aiden Quinn, Jack Blake, Cam Lindley, Solomon Asante, Brian Rebellon, Sebastian Guenzati, this is a team that should not only have players competing for all league, they should be hovering atop the Eastern Conference, not just below the playoff line. Orange County start 1-4-3. You dismiss your manager who took down the 2021 title and Richard Chaplow. Now all of a sudden, they're looking for an identity. What I look like with Orange County, Mike, is this. This is a team whose manager said, we did what we had to do with the players we had to find a way to win. They're trying to find a way to win right now in the Western Conference.
Meanwhile, Charleston is making good with what they have.
Lee Cohen, Ben Pierman, they've brought a couple of pieces from Memphis. This is a team that forever had been the talking point in USL Championship in the Eastern Conference. Made the postseason every year from 2011 to 2020, and now all of a sudden everybody's looking around going, well, what are they going to be? They have an identity. It's grimy, it's gritty, it's talented. Augie Williams up top, you know they can score. One of the best defensive teams in the league behind Sacramento Republic. Now, both of these teams, when you look at them, good, yes, but nobody thought they were going to be great. Nobody thought Mark Briggs, the team that finished 4th in the Western Conference and made it to the Open Cup final, was going to be undefeated, 18 points through 8 games, only conceding 2 goals with a +12 goal differential in the process. Good, yes, but who knew they were going to be great this early?
And they are now the final remaining professional unbeaten team in the United States. Meanwhile here, Louisville, Miami at the half. Highlights and some big news in the league coming up. Hear me, right? Oh, hello. All right, so seismic impact on the game in this country leads to last week the USL named. So, you know, feel free to cut around, Jonathan. Oh, all right. We haven't reached for the emergency cookie yet either. You know, that's good news.
Which is funny because I just went out there looking for a chocolate chip.
It's not too late.
I made a big what to do about the fact that there were none, and I wasn't going to overindulge in just raising eggs tonight.
Time to indulge, playa.
You said just the goals?
Yeah, just the goals. I assume the foul. We'll have the foul, right? How many looks? 10 years ago, a venue like this would have been an American soccer fantasy. The time intervening, the leadership of recently departed USL President Jake Edwards made a seismic impact on the game in this country. Last week, the USL named Paul McDonough league president after decades in club front offices and player representation, stepping into the role with ambitious sporting and off-field plans in years to come. Welcome, Mr. President and Chief Soccer Officer. That's Devin Kerr. He's my Chief Soccer Officer. Dev, thoughts on that first half now that we've had some time to really get it all together?
Scary that you put me in charge of something. No, look, the way that this game starts, Louisville get the team right where they want. It's transition. They get their goal. I get it's a deflection, but all the runs were where they were supposed to be. But this game is going the way that Miami FC wants it to. They've eliminated the central midfield for Louisville City, but that's where they were at their best 10 minutes into the game. Notice the advancement of Tellefson. You want to look at all the runs that are available here as the ball gets down into the corner. Run on the near post, back post. You've got Tellefson just at the top of the six. More importantly, you've got the trailing run here of Dylan Maris. All this is about is depth and different levels when you start to cross this ball back in with your options. Now, the response from Miami FC, it's a bit handsy on the inside. Amadou Dia comes up over the back of Michael Salazar. As they move this to the width, you know that they're going to go vertical. What you need to do is go straight up, win a 50-50. Instead, point to the spot, point to Kyle Murphy. He points to his second goal on the year, and it's the equalizer for Miami FC.
Miami has not missed a penalty since 2021. And Louisville City, more the shots, but possession just about even at this point at Lynn Family Stadium. Of course, all that matters, the score is now even 2. Anthony Pulis brings his Miami team into Louisville. And right now, they're in possession of a point with 45 minutes to play. The second half is coming up next on the USL Championship on ESPN. The USL Championship on ESPN continues with a nod to two Louisville City players, Josh Winder, current, Jonathan Gomez, former. Gomez over to La Liga last year. The former Young Player of the Year in the league called up to the U20 World Cup. The USA will take on Ecuador in their opener a week from now. Josh Winder called to the U.S. men's national team for the Continental Classico in April. And his brother, Elijah Winder, checking in here at halftime. He'll step in for Dylan Maris. Carlos Mogul checks out with Tyler Gibson in his stead. And the second half about to commence between Miami FC and Louisville City. Well, Deb, before we dig into the under-20s and the value of that, because it's immeasurable for those young players, and Danny Cruz talked about it, having experienced it himself. The two subs at halftime, surprising in any measure? As Miami stepping into the fray and Segbers drops it off.
It's not surprising because of the way that the game was going. I said at halftime that Miami is getting Louisville to play the way that they want them to play. And although it's 1-1, the best shape overall has actually come from the visitors. You eliminated Carlos Mogul and Dylan Maris from that argument. And so you look at the pass matrix for Dylan Maris. He only had 4 positive passes within that first half. Now there's 12 overall, so okay, 33%. Quick math checks out. The problem is they're all to the width. And yes, he gets the goal, but that trailing run had to be more frequent. The balance had to be better in the attacking front. The idea right now is Tyler Gibson defensively locks down more of those central locations, but it gives more freedom on the attacking front for Elijah Winder and Tellefson in the midfield.
Jimenez bowled over by Murphy. Louisville third in the Eastern Conference. Miami can catch them today with a victory on the road in a tie for 4th place, as we're around the quarter pole in the championship season. Dia. Gibson. You saw the two young men on the graphic. The U20 World Cup is the greatest showcase for big clubs to go watch and see who's the next up on the global football stage.
Well, you've got 14 separate players, which the graphic highlighted, 11 different teams in the USL Championship.
Tellefson on to Ownby. Ownby cutting across. Tellefson able to knock it down for himself. It's over the line, but of course, well after this was done and dusted.
263 total games, and all of that is about experience and getting guys some confidence, 4 of which made their way to the European transfer market. Tellefson coming from there, the Dane, excellent move. Did I not just talk about that late run coming through the center spots?
You did.
I mean, this is what the bread and butter has been for Louisville City over the past couple of seasons.
Good read by Jimenez, and Tellefson leading through. That slide leads it to Ownby, who cracks in across. That's going to deflect for a corner.
It's a 5-5 corner kick by the athletic camp.
Really tight tackle. Watch Paco Craig traps the diagonal run by Jorge Gonzalez, that right shoulder, as he turns here. Notice he doesn't overcommit on the front. This is incredible by Paco Craig. Jorge Gonzalez knows it. Touch had to be better, but positionally from the defender. Slows down, wins the 50-50, goes to ground at the perfect time.
Struck by Winder of the Elijah variety. Elijah, the older brother, Josh, rumored to potentially have a 7-figure price tag, just turned 18 years old. Benfica has been hot on his tracks. Semla for Gibson. swoosh. Too much on Murphy. Stanley put under pressure by Ownby. Zemla. Towards Sorto. Well read by Tellefson. Dia. Gibson. Gibson, Murphy on his tailpipe. Paco Craig into the back of Harris.
Oh, easy. Easy.
Salazar hoping he can walk away from this without any problems.
He's trying to make friends with the referee because he knows he got his hand caught in the cookie jar here. It's just an unnecessary one from Michael Salazar. Pressure maybe, but he doesn't need to leave his feet and just barrels through him. Oh my. Really hope Tyler Gibson comes out of this unscathed. That elbow rocked the backside of his head.
Well, good to see Gibson back up, especially within the context of this game. He came on for the player that would be his direct replacement, Bogle, at half.
What's interesting is that there's no card issue. I'm really surprised by that. It's a pretty dangerous challenge, and for what you gave Oscar Jimenez and Dylan Maris in the first half. Now, Jimenez is transitional. I get that. Miami FC had an attacking opportunity to press in behind, but Dylan Maris was at a central spot within the midfield. Callan Chapman-Page was continued infringement. That was enough on that one.
Gonzalez around Chapman-Page. Jorge Gonzalez. Jorge Gonzalez finally putting some end product together today.
How impressive that he works away and then is able to get himself back in. It's the diagonal into the corner. And the way that the touch comes, watch it come off the front side of him. That little touch right there. He didn't get enough onto it, but it actually allows himself to slow up. Good recovery by Jorge Gonzalez, because as he cuts it back across, he recognizes he's got that half space on the turn. Chapman-Page can't close his hips fast enough, and he's able to get a shot off.
It's with Louisville. Jimenez, Miami converging. Ooh, Maguire. On to Telfer. Maguire. Lost by Telfer. Sharpie. Found Dia. Salazar got stuck in. Well, that's a late whistle, but a whistle nonetheless. Spare a thought for the Belize international, Salazar.
They've really tried to maintain this presence on the outside. Miami FC done a good job for the most part doing so as well. They don't want to let the core of their team be dissected. Finding Winder, whether Gibson is going to change the direction. Tellefson up high. And you have to believe after that, there's no way that another instance is going to occur for Michael Salazar without making his way into the referee's little black book.
There's a 1v1 at the opposite post for Tosh. They went to that post. Tosh vacated, opening the door to Jimenez, not to be. You know, this Miami team, getting a goal off them isn't simple. It's never easy against an Anthony Pulis side.
And defensively, this is a minimum of 75 games in standalone teams. Top 5 all time. And that is a pretty impressive list there for Anthony Pulis. Bob Lilly, Hall of Fame, no doubt, within U.S. soccer. Eventually going to get there.
Ball finds Volo. It's got a little hairy there for Miami. Adrian Heath, that time in Orlando and Austin, correct? There's Ownby laying off. Winder, Tellefson! It's out of his reach by mere inches. Lost by Ownby.
As Brian Ownby was pretty deep in possession. Notice the inversion of Tellefson. This is the relationship that you're looking for. All of a sudden, you've got an understanding that one vacates, another one steps through. If Brian Ownby is going to go searching a little bit, and you'll take it, what he's doing is two things. He's trying to create another player on the ball, but he's also challenging the overall shape, and that brings Aiden Stanley and Paco Craig just a pinch over a little bit. So as Tellefson comes out, all of a sudden, he's got 10 yards of space to work with.
That's going to send Dia out of play. Louisville just one game in 3.5 weeks on the calendar. Ousted in the Open Cup by FC Cincinnati. Winder. Up to Ownby, who's offside. Zemla. Regrettably for him, his shutout percentage as a professional keeper has dropped from 80% down to 2/3 based on this result.
He is human.
He is. It just can't be in the run of play. Jimenez forward. Outside from Tellefson. Ownby clips across. A lot of contact. Play on. Gibson tried to push that aside. Salazar controls it through Akadioti. Dia Header from Telfer. Akinyoti, well, he had to be clean in that moment, and maybe the best outcome is putting it out for a corner.
It's another 5-5 corner kick.
They've already started blowing the bubbles in the stand. Jimenez, McGuire, and leaning over the top, got something on it. It's a corner on the other side.
That something may or may not have been Paco Craig.
Well, and Paco hopefully able to get back to his feet without attention, and he will, because he's the best set-piece defensive option they have.
But credit to Drake McGuire. I mean, obviously you never want to create contact with one of your own. But if you're going to come, you better come and win this thing, and that's his dedication to this ball. Notice Jake McGuire starts to lean. He wants to grab, and then he pulls the right hand away. It's perfect technique. Left arm up over the top to push it away from the attack, even if he has to take Paco Craig with him.
Jimenez, 29 career assists in the championship. Puts that up for Gonzalez. Tellefson, Elijah Winder, cutback ball set back home. Brian Oldby, a majestic curler to put Louisville City ahead.
Let's take it back to square one from the corner. Watch the secondary ball that pops out. Really well done by Amadou Dia. Calmness. And then you just get back into your possessional fortitude that is Louisville City. There's the overlapping run on the high line. This is just as if it's a transitional move from your own top of the box, moving the other direction. As Winder comes out, there's that inversion once again by Brian Oldby. It doesn't matter if that trailing run is Tellefson, if it's Winder, if it's Oldby. All you want is an option, and now you've got your go-ahead goal.
Oldby's second of the season. And for Miami, held without a shot now for 34 minutes. Louisville had 2/3 of the possession in the first quarter hour of the half. And they have struck gold with it. Harris crashing. And that's Telfer with an immediate call for the athletic trainer to come in with a potential head injury.
This is just as scary for Ryan Telfer that we saw on Tyler Gibson. And they said it's head-to-head. It looked to be the back left shoulder, possibly even the elbow of Wilson Harris when we were watching it in real time. You come up high off the throw-in. Interesting that they go this method because you're creating an unnecessary 50-50, and that's exactly what it is there from Wilson Harris. You can't blame him for stepping in. Telfer backing up a little bit. He actually sets himself and comes straight up in the air. They've got to reestablish their rhythm on that front line. This all comes down to being able to find passage through the center of the midfield for Louisville City. Tyler Gibson done a magnificent job, but even the movement on the goal mic comes from the same spot. It's just off a set piece, and Amadou Dia happens to be the one there. Overall, when they're building back to front right now, Sorto, Murphy, Salazar got to start to work a little bit harder, because the argument coming into the game was the decision making in the six. Do you go with Carlos Mogul or Tyler Gibson? Mogul, a little bit better on the ball. You know that he's comfortable branching out of the midfield, but Gibson defensively, as he sits there in the middle, doesn't venture out too much, but he's super clean on the ball. And right now, the latter is the reason why Louisville have definitely been the better team in the second half. Great to see Telfer up and moving again.
His head hanging as he makes his way toward the bench. This is not a deep Miami team by any measure, but the number of injuries they've sustained, they only just got Callum Chapman-Page back defensively today. Anthony Pulis hopes he doesn't need to shuffle the deck again. Stanley. Ooh. Harris testing the constitution of Paco Craig's jersey. Collected by Tosh. Zemla. How many rookies are hitting that ball diagonal across the face of goal? Little giddy up from Gonzalez. Lost by Stanley. Sorto, what a slide in the recovery. Touchdown by Tellefson. Omby swerving that beyond Gonzalez. Jimenez. This is good from Louisville City. All the way across Omby. Cutback ball. Craig slides in. Gibson. Sharpie to Dia. Miami is batting down the hatches. Dia glides by. Penalty, Louisville City. And a chance to get a 2-goal lead off the Segbers foul.
Maintain the status quo if you're Louisville City. Maintain possession, the high line, the pressure. That's class from Amadou Dia, because as you come to the outside, notice his head. He was never going anywhere but one-on-one down into the corner. The question was going to be, did he trust his instincts that he could be able to shift the feet of Mark Segbers, get him unbalanced, and get around him, or would he go right through? Option B. And now, Louisville City can double it.
Last year, he became the go-to penalty taker due to Cameron Lancaster's injuries. He scored 9 goals, 5 at the spot from the center back position, Sean Tosh. And this might be a very short run-up. McGuire's ready, so is Tosh. McGuire has saved 4 of 16 in his pro career. Louisville's penalty-taking talisman delivers, sending McGuire the wrong way. Louisville 2 goals ahead.
Let's go back to the impediment that was the 1v1 between Amadou Dia and Mark Segbers as he regains possession. Watch him straight on. Now the book will tell you that Amadou Dia 9 times out of 10 is trying to get around you to the end line and come back across. But the slight touch and hesitation opens up Segbers, goes route 1, and he brings him down. Then it's just down to Sean Tosh and what you're capable of. Notice the hips. The last second, he closes this thing off. Maguire the entire time, reads it open, reads the bottom corner. Everybody else did as well, except for Sean Tosh, who does such a good job closing this off and putting them up by 2.
And as ever, tucked in, locked in. It's a mantra, Devin. It's a way of life. Well, he tucked that in past Maguire and puts Louisville ahead 3-1.
It's Miller time, but not for long. Miller Coors is here to remind you that sales of alcohol inside Lynn Family Stadium.
Well, Miami had bunkered a little bit here to start the half. Louisville had over 70% of the ball in the half leading into that penalty. At what point does that change for Miami? Are you hoping to get out on the break from those moments to get these back?
Well, the problem that you're dealing with now is you have to find a way to get on the ball a little bit more, number 1. But number 2, this comes down to communication and the passing of runners. So we addressed Tyler Gibson on the inside, finding a way to get extra bodies higher. Well, the initial argument was with Winder, but now all of a sudden it's Tellefson, it's Brian Ownby. So if you compress deep and you keep the game in front of you, it's side to side. You either push them to one side or you come out on the other.
Stanley able to find the winding run down the right side. This will be a corner.
Tonight's attendance is 11,200.
There were subs made during that extended Louisville goal celebration. Claudio Repetto came in up front for Miami, replacing Kyle Murphy, who was coming off an injury. Jesus Hernandez has come in as well, the Guatemalan international. Came up through Texas and San Antonio and Dallas. To your point, if you're trying to hold the ball more, Repetto a little better in hold-up play, perhaps. Could offer that. All the while, a goal off a set piece for Miami would be quite the response. But it's a lackluster service. The attendance was just announced in the venue. It is Bark at the Park night. So it is 11,000 plus in attendance, 11,279 and 323 canines. But we did not count the number of Vizslas, nor Bulldogs, nor Cockapoos. So regrettably, we have no idea about how this really affects us. Happy patrons and dogs.
Oh, what if we did Bark at the Park, but the park is actually an acronym for the studio or the stadium booth, and the dogs are in the booth with us. Is that frowned upon in this establishment, or?
Knowing your dogs and my dogs, yes it is. But for a really well-trained and less excitable dog, maybe.
Let's just put all 3 of them and light the fire. No chance we're getting out of there alive.
I'm just excited we celebrated Bailey the Bulldog's 11th birthday on Friday.
It's 11?
11. Time flies.
Number 1, I didn't even know you could count that high, number 1.
Well,
number 2, so 77 or the first year is 6? I don't know. Geometrics. I can't do the math.
There's a meme to be made of this. Ownby streaking in. Dia. Slot Tellefson. Kept alive by Gibson. And staggered out by Akinyoti. With about a quarter of an hour to go in our first game in the USL on ESPN this season. Devin and I will take a little break and then come back for Memphis 901 FC and Phoenix Rising on July the 1st. That's an 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific matchup on ESPN2. Both teams under new management this year. That's a push from Repetto. Now, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the USL Championship has come together with the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline to launch a new partnership. Need support. The campaign launched this week. Captains' armbands for both teams look just like that. PSAs, in-stadium promotions, trying to promote mental health awareness. It'll also activate, as this kicked out of play by Harris during National Suicide Prevention Week in September. 988, 24/7 nationwide for those in moments of crisis. They've also worked on mental health first aid to support players and coaches. And Devin, we've come a long way in those facets, thankfully, in recent years. And still a long way to go. By the way, Sacramento has that 988 patch on their jersey sleeve all season long.
Oh, watch out, watch out.
Akinyoti, that's the top pocket, and it's just a yellow. Akinyoti got all of Ownby.
The first turn was a little bit behind, to be honest. It's a good turn by Akinyoti, but he's actually behind Tellefson, and he gets away with it. I'll tell you what, this is really close. If Akinyoti's left foot is a half an inch, legit half an inch higher, you could be looking at back pocket. The stud's almost coming up on that tackle. But if you're Anthony Pulis right now, you've got to start to gamble a little bit. You brought Hernandez in. He rounds out your back three. Stanley comes in higher, and now all of a sudden, Curtis Thorne comes in. Callan Chapman-Page comes off. You're talking about another ball-carrying center back that can advance. You got to see a change on the inside, though. Bring Akinyoti as a single pivot. Drop Sorto a little bit deeper, Velo higher. It creates this triangular shape that's going to put more pressure centrally on Louisville City. Yes, down underneath defensively, you lose a little bit. But 2 goals with inside 15 minutes to play. You got to chase the game a little bit.
That's Ownby offside. Change coming for Louisville, so Del Piccolo enters for Ownby, old guard for old guard. Ownby looking like his old self.
It seems like he knows what he's doing all of a sudden again, right? Brian Ownby reinvented himself 2 years ago, set a career high in assists last year, career high in goals, and all of a sudden, everything is right in the world of Louisville City. Brian Ownby, now 2 goals, 2 assists, that's 4 marks through 8 games. Math checks out.
Ownby wishes, I'm sure, he came out about a minute sooner. Ownby missed the last game due to injury. Louisville can move within a point of first place if they see this over the finish line tonight in the Eastern Conference. Stanley trying to deal with Tellefson, and did. Craig. Sharpie.
This is a Louisville team that got smoked for 8 goals over a 2-game span. El Paso and Sacramento. Felt like they totally retuned and refocused, be more defensively resolute. And today they grabbed 3 goals and only concede from the spot in the 11th minute, at least to this point. Chested down toward Harris. And rolled back by Hernandez. Toes seeking Del Piccolo. And on to McGuire. Repetto. Sorto. Room to explore here for Stanley. Gibson. Subs in the wings. Picked up by Zemla. Turns out he's the Geppetto here pulling the strings. Two changes here. Ray Serrano comes on for Louisville City. That's it for Jorge Gonzalez. Meanwhile, Ben Mines returns from a hamstring injury, replacing Christian Sorto.
Anthony Pulis going a little bit more speed with Ben Mines keeping Salazar on the field. Thought maybe he might try and keep the Sorto Mines pairing together, but down 2 goals, you got to be able to stretch the game up top. That's what Salazar gives you next to Repetto, and a real good opportunity for Ray Serrano to come in. We just saw his first start last time out, and all of a sudden coming off the bench, Brian Omby going to go to the. He's already brought him off, switched to the far side of the field. And Ray Serrano comes to this near right flank. I'm going to see what the pairing is like for him in the midfield with the personnel that Danny Cruz has in right now.
Met by Thorne. And there's Segbers. A return from Velo. Segbers catching Tellefson. It was too cute for Miami in that moment. Games ongoing on ESPN Plus tonight for your viewing pleasure. How about that one, Dev? San Antonio 5, Charleston 0.
Dear Lord. I mean, coming off the Open Cup midweek for the Charleston Battery. It's a bit of a rotated squad, but there's not a ton that you would look at and go, that's not the 11. Friendly reminder, by the way, that Tampa Bay Rowdies in the same minute, 58, they're up 5-1.
They're back.
And Memphis and Colorado Springs decided that 2 goals in the opening 20 minutes weren't enough. Let's add a red card in the 31st. What's going on in the USL Championship right now?
Are you not entertained?
just jealous I'm not at home with the multi-viewer right now. Wait, how does that work, by the way? Can we get a little side camera and watch all the games at once? Or that is definitely frowned upon.
I would think so. Little turn there. You can see the jersey tug with the body of Craig. He wants the ball back as quick as he can. 5 minutes to try and turn this thing around. Below, spun, ball not in tow. Winder. Ball blasted from range. What a save by McGuire to turn away Tellefson. Big palm to this.
Quite interesting how in the second half here for Louisville City, you've changed really your entire front line, at least when you include Wilson Harris in his positioning. All three of your midfielders, when you change Tellefson, he was overindulged on the right-hand flank in the first, now very active on the left in the second. 6 different positional changes for Louisville City moving forward, as well as the complement they provide on the defensive front. And unfortunately for Miami FC, they just have no answer for it.
Well, they did say Louisville's the flagship club of this league. Consistency, guys of a really high caliber. And while the injuries have shortened their bench, more depth than this Miami team has right now. Louisville's going to go on a week-and-a-half-long road swing before they welcome Tulsa next. Zemla is there. You know, Dev, I thought it was interesting talking to Anthony Pulis. He said maybe this is the most parity we've ever seen in the Eastern Conference. All independent clubs now, which changes the tenor a little bit. There is no walkover anymore, and there isn't necessarily a benefit to your schedule because everybody plays everybody now.
You still get the cross-conference, too, which we all have come to know and love. I'm not sure how some of the players feel about it with the travel they have to endure, but big boy league now. Just joining us, 3 points of separation between 10th place in the Eastern Conference coming into the night and 4th overall.
Mines did well to pick this up. Mines part of a title-winning team at Orange County in 2021. And then Louisville, assuming Charleston doesn't come back against San Antonio, will move 1 point away with a game in hand for first place in the East. And that's with them playing beneath their standard in a number of games this year. Lest we forget, they did set club records for wins and points last year. Similarly, they felt at times they were a bit out of rhythm. Agnoti able to hold it up. Well, Miami gets one here in the last 100 seconds. Watch out. Glancing blow on the Stanley cross. Is Louisville the favorite in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Well, 538 says they're the favorite to win the league. So statistics would be on your side if you said yes. As Salazar finds Stanley all alone. Akinyote, nope.
It's very difficult to say no. But to your point, as you are going to get the debut of who might be able to push them into that #1 overall argument is
that's not
Mark
a short
Powell's.
AR, man. That's just a very tall player. Tip for Wilson Harris. He comes out. Martin Powell's at 6'7", the tallest player in club history, comes on. The Dutch player making his debut after signing officially this past week.
That's a tremendous second half effort by Wilson Harris. Understood that positionally. Things just had to change for him. So good at occupying. Paco Craig, Aiden Stanley at times, Hernandez when he came on. And yet when they did start to move, dropping underneath and really creating a bridge for this Lou City squad to play off of and play through.
3 minutes of added time. And despite a 3-1 lead, Louisville undeterred. Serrano. El Piccolo from below. Salazar. Segbers. Repetto at Sharpie. Miami, who had the third most road points in the league last year, is about to start the season on the road, 4 games winless. This will end a 4-match unbeaten streak. Final 15 minutes of the first half, specifically, they looked extremely dangerous. Louisville throwing the throttle down in this second half with 100 ticks left in stoppage time. Can Miami mount one last charge here to get back into the game? Stanley grounds Serrano. Flicks the diagonal over to Segbers. Up for Velo, Segbers. Off of Dia, and Sharpie ran out of real estate at corner. It's all got to be forward here for Miami.
That's a mismatch. Akinyodio and Amadou Dia. Watch the penalty mark. 21.
As the cross, glancing blow. And last off Craig. Goal kick. It should seal it.
You got to give a tremendous amount of credit to Danny Cruz, the coaching staff in Lou City here in the second half. They were incredible. You changed personnel tactically. They found a way to find more of a rhythm centrally off Tyler Gibson. The attacking units, specifically within the midfield, took the pressure off the front three, and it just allowed the freedom to roam and go and have fun within this game. They got flanking play. They got the 9, the 6. You pretty much put any number up on that board, and Louisville City found it. Most importantly, they found 3 to hit the back of the net. Miami could not chase this game. Tactically, they didn't involve. This was a tremendous performance in the second half by Lou City. A well-deserved 3 points.
In front of 11,000 plus, Louisville makes it 5 unbeaten now after 2 disheartening losses against El Paso and Sacramento. Louisville City has found their stride. Tosh, a penalty in the 70th, Ownby in the 62nd, Maris is first for the club in the 7th. You bet we'll wrap it up on the other side of the break. This is the USL Championship on ESPN. Louisville now 5 matches unbeaten and moving up to second in the Eastern Conference. Back and forth beginning, but Louisville scored the final 2 in the second half, pull away from Miami. Mike and Devin, to wrap this one up at full time, we take a look at the highlights. Why don't we start in the 7th minute, Louisville into the final third.
Great start for Louisville City, and with all the options available here, Brian Ownby just has to pick his poison. It's a really good but also difficult ball to take as he sprays it back across. Tellison plucks it out of midair. The deflection coughed up, and Dylan Maris onto the score sheet for Louisville City. Excellent response here by Miami FC. As they come high, they've got numbers in the box. There is contact on the backside, and Kyle Murphy makes it 1-1.
Murphy bags his 2nd of the season, still perfect at the spot. Skip ahead to the second half. Here's a game changer in the 62nd minute.
So you certainly want to reset yourself defensively as the ball comes out here. So look at everybody behind the screen from Miami FC. Heads turned around, no communication, and it's still really good ball movement from Louisville City. Let's not take that away from them, but not enough organization for Miami FC. Brian Ownby, as this comes back across, puts it on the unfavored left foot, but certainly makes the most out of it. And then Amadou Dia doing what he loves best. One-on-one down into the corner, goes to work on Mark Segbers. Sean Tosh says thank you very much. 12 yards out, tucked in, locked in, 3-1 Lou City.
And Louisville has now converted 18 straight penalties dating to June 2021. Here's a look at the Eastern Conference standings with Louisville on the way up. Miami actually drops here with the results around them. Thoughts here as we close out?
So within the Eastern Conference, Tampa Bay Rowdies seem to be on the up and up. Pittsburgh Riverhounds are getting some results. Birmingham Legion lost 3 of 5 and 5 of 7. One wonders, is it that Open Cup curse? Finding balance. They've moved into the final 16. Just ask Anthony Pulis in St. Louis City a couple of years ago. It's difficult to manage. Louisville City in the second half here, incredible. It was a tactical masterclass from Danny Clues and co. They deserve the 3 points and beyond.
And that moves them indeed to second place. We're back with the USL on ESPN July 1st for Memphis at Phoenix. All the while, for Devin Kerr, our entire team in Louisville and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. Louisville wins it over Miami, 3-1. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.